Hey there, and welcome to today's episode. There are a lot of shoulder swirls going on today because we are going to jump straight into the episode. I love our intro. I love our intro music, but we are going to completely skip past that today because I want to get directly to the meat of today's episode. I want to give you a few of my favorite reads. I want to make sure that you get access to some of my favorite authors and some of their best work, to be honest with you. I am right on the heels, literally less than a week, preparing to launch my second book called The Unexpected Leader Discovering the Leader Within You. And so I am in the spirit of sharing all things books and all things learning new things and all things giving yourself permission to try and learn and experience new things. And if you can see me in this episode, you can see right over my right shoulder I have actually gotten my hands on my book. And I'm really excited about it. For those of you who've picked up your copies, you should get it in the next couple of days. If you haven't, there's still time to do that over at jacquelinembaker.com/unexpected or on any of the platforms where you like to purchase books from Amazon to Barnes and Noble, Target, directly from Wiley, and also, of course, at any of your independent bookshops. And bookshop.org is a great opportunity to seek those independent retailers out. But I want to give you the opportunity to learn about a few of my favorite authors. We're going to start right out the gate with a friend of mine who just released her second book. Not too long ago, she released her first book, and so she is out here killing it. If you haven't already picked up books by Amber Cabral, her most recent book is called Say More About That and Other Ways to Speak Up, Push Back, and Advocate for Yourself and Others, and her very first book called Allies and Advocates Creating an Inclusive and Equitable Culture. I love what Amber did. If you can see today's episode, you can see that she is very much on brand in both of her covers. But feel free to pick her books up. There are lots of opportunities that we have right now, especially to advocate for ourselves and others. But sometimes we need a little bit of help, right? We need a script. We need to know what to say word for word. And what I appreciate about Amber's books, particularly the second one, is that it gives you lots of opportunities to almost copy and paste, to see a script, maybe make it your own in your best possible way, and to make sure that you're advocating for yourself and others. And so once again, check out the author, Amber Cabral. Both of her books are available wherever you pick up books. My second book, or my second author that I'd like to highlight today is both Gary Keller with J. Papasan. And I read this book called The One Thing, The Surprisingly Simple Truth Behind Extraordinary Results, probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And I love this book because, as you all know, I am a starter. I like to start things. I like to encourage other people to start things. But sometimes we're starting just a few too many things and not focusing on the thing that is bringing us the best results, the one thing that's going to help to exponentialize all the other things that we have going on. And so I really appreciated this book so much because it helped me to simplify my thinking. It helped me to reprioritize, helped me to refocus. And so if you find that you're an idea factory, and you're someone that's cooking up ideas all the time, I'm not going to discourage you from doing that because I too am an idea factory. And I think that's a part of my magic. But at the same time, are you getting really clear on the one thing in that moment, in that season of your life that is the most beneficial, that is serving you the most and is creating the best and the most effective amount of results for you? So consider picking up The One Thing by Gary Keller with Jay Papasan. I had the opportunity not too long ago to talk to this next author. I actually had a coaching relationship with her about a year back. Her name is Radiah Rhodes, and her book, Being is the New Doing. First of all, it's a beautiful cover, and I absolutely love Radiah. I love Radiah's book, and I love her focus on, and really her tagline, which is a divine guide to owning your energy, time, and peace of mind. Because her framework and how she coaches and how she goes about sharing her tips, tools, and talents and resources with the world is by helping people to recognize that perhaps, quite frankly, you're doing the most unnecessarily, right? Being is the new doing is a great way to do some self introspective activities, some self reflection to really find out what is it that I want, how is it that I operate, and am I being intentional about that? I have referenced several of Radiah's tools over time. I luckily have a relationship with her, and so I talk to her periodically just to check in with myself to make sure that I'm being clear about intention. I'm being clear about what it is that I really want. But more importantly, I recognize that sometimes just me being is the new doing instead of doing the absolute most. And so feel free to check out Radiah's book called Being is the New Doing. Her name is Radiah Rhodes. Now, I greatly appreciate this next book. Many of you have probably read this book. I know that it was a Times bestseller. It's called The 12-Week Year, Get More Done in 12 Weeks Than Others Do in 12 Months by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington. And I love this book. The reason why I love this book, and it may have been one of the fastest books that I ever read, is because so many times we'll set some goals at the beginning of the year, and then we'll say, all right, by December, these are the goals that I want to accomplish. When in reality, if we time box ourselves a little bit better, we can accomplish so much more because it's so much easier for us to kick the cans down the road, right? And say, oh, I'm going to get to that because I got 3 more months, I got 4 more months. But if you're like, hey, I only got 3 months to get this done, so I'm going to go into hyperdrive right now to get stuff done, of course, in a pace that makes sense for you, you can get a whole lot more done. And you could potentially take some very, very well deserved time off instead of just kicking the can down the road. And so I really recommend that you consider picking up the 12-week year, get more done in 12 weeks than others do in 12 months. And quite frankly, you put yourself in a position to sometimes create this sense of urgency. For those of you who operate a little bit better under pressure, you operate well under pressure. I know that I do. Perhaps by recognizing, like, oh, I only got 12 weeks to get this done versus I have 52 weeks to get this done, you'll feel a little bit more pressured, but hopefully positive pressure to get the stuff done that you really want to do. So consider picking up the 12-week year. This next book, called Beyond Diversity, the tagline is 12 Non-Obvious Ways to Build a More Inclusive World. This book is by Rohit, Bhargava, and Jennifer Brown. And I had the opportunity to meet Rohit several years back, actually, when I was still at AARP, doing some of the work that I was doing in the diversity, in the innovation and entrepreneurship space. And what I love about this book, if you pick it up, and I do encourage you to pick it up, is that it has a lot of different voices and a lot of different perspectives from folks that contribute to the overall diversity work that each and every one of us is hopefully contributing to each and every day. I actually have a small piece in this book where they asked for me to give a quote on the work that I'm doing, particularly in the leadership space through Scarlett. And so that was a complete honor. But the reason why I like this book is because sometimes you need to see someone else doing the work in the capacity or the lens or the lane in which you operate each and every day. And when you see that, you see like, oh, I really am doing this diversity work, or I really can make a difference, or it really is possible for me to make an impact. And so I love this book because they approach diversity and the opportunities for people to be impactful from so many different lanes that people can see themselves in the fight. So feel free to consider picking up the book Beyond Diversity, 12 Non-Obvious Ways to Build a More Inclusive World. Now, this next book is an oldie but goodie. Of course, I am the founder and principal consultant at Scarlett, which is a leadership consultancy. And so I've been training for a long time. And you can even see, if you can see that this book has sort of kind of been through it, it's a little beat up. All right. This book is called The First Time Trainer, the step-by-step quick guide for managers, supervisors, and new training professionals. And because I've been in the training space for some time, because my master's degree is in instructional technology, I've been picking up tips, tools, and resources to help people be better trainers and to help me be a better trainer as well. And so this was one of the first books that I picked up when I formally got into the training space. And it's so fantastic because it's a great resource. If you're someone that wants to do more training, literally, if you want to do more training in some of the social scenes or in social capacities that you're in, this might be a good option for you. The other reason why I pick this book up every now and then is because sometimes when you've been in a field for quite some time, you start to establish certain norms and certain ways that you're working. Well, the reality is sometimes people are sitting through your particular course for the first time, and you need a refresher on how to do things and how to activate things in a way that's relatable to folks, not people like you that maybe have been in a space for a long time. And so the first time trainer is still a great refresher for me. It's still a resource that I go back to simply to pull out different tips, tools, and resources. And if you are someone who is looking to be in the training space in whatever capacity that you're in, perhaps you're about to teach your family how to play spades because they don't know how to play spades. You got to train them. It's still a training. Feel free or consider picking up The First Time Trainer by Tom W. Goad. Okay. The last book that I am going to highlight today is one of the most recent books that I completely read, and I read it incredibly fast. Incredibly fast. To be honest with you all, I am not a big memoir reader at all. I am not someone who reads a lot of memoirs. But listen, this book, this mostly memoir by Indray Nooyi, who is the former chairman and CEO of PepsiCo, was such a phenomenal read. It was such a phenomenal read because, of course, it let you in on the life and the journey of being the top executive at PepsiCo, but it also really allowed you to see a bit of her life and her Indian culture and how that played into so much of who she became, who she is, who her family is, and a lot of the struggles that she had and that she had to face along the way. I deeply enjoyed this book. Like, I could literally see myself going back and thumbing through this book again, which is very odd for someone like me who does not consume really any memoirs. So if you're somebody or someone who's growing in your corporate career, you want to be inspired, you're curious about how cultural barriers or cultural plays play into people that are growing in their career, this is a fantastic book for you to pick up. So these are some of my favorite, most recent books. I'm going to continue on the reading journey. And every now and then I'm going to pop back in here, of course, on the podcast, just start from ideas to action, to share with you some of the books that I read, how they're contributing to my life, and more importantly, how I think that they can contribute to yours. If you haven't had the opportunity to pick up my newest book called The Unexpected Leader, Discovering the Leader Within You, this is the perfect opportunity to do it. We are literally T minus less than a week away. And so I invite you to pick this book up. I also invite you to take action because it's so important that you don't just consume content, but that you actually really take advantage of this 168 hours that we get every single week. That's all we get. So let's not waste any of it. Listen, I hope that wherever you're at in the world, that you're safe, you're healthy, and you're well. And of course, that you're giving yourself permission to truly start the things that you want to do. Don't be a stranger. If there's a topic you want us to cover, just shoot me an email over at info@jacquelinembaker.com. Thank you for spending some time with me. I look forward to seeing you next time for the very next episode of Just Start, From Ideas to Action. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.